everybody. You're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent, your host, joined as always by my good friend Ren Daxt. We're looking at the playoffs tonight, buddy.
No nickname, no ascot.
I was thinking about it, but we took care of that one on the last episode. Learned new things about Ren Daxt that not even I knew, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah, but you always like have some type of some pithy name for me. Ren blank Dax.
Well, usually what it is because you and I like we have like a little conversation before the show.
It's true.
And we didn't really like tonight is mostly like we plopped down. We said, okay, you ready to go? Great, go. And here we are. So that I think that's what it is.
Okay. Yes, playoffs.
We are here talking about the playoffs. And it has been the case with some of these shows. A bye week, by the way. So our schedule's off a little bit. There's no Buck in the news really this week because there's not been any. But this is kind of one of those shows, Ren, where you texted me the idea for this, and I went,
no.
But why?
Yeah.
But why?
Which I didn't understand at all. Every time I text you the show idea and you do a but why, I'm like, oh God, like just
go with me because it's going to turn out to be a good show, and Brent's going to come back on the other side and be like, that was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
It's true.
And so I'm just putting it out there. This is one of those shows. We'll get to the end and I'll be like, that actually worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to.
No promises on this one though, because this is going to be a lot of numbers and kind of like a lot of remembering. If you're listening to this on the pod audio, it would be much better to go over to YouTube and watch it because I'm gonna have a lot of banners with breakdowns and final opponents. And basically what we're doing, since it's the bye week, there hasn't really been anybody out there that I've seen that has, sort of broke down the playoff contenders' remaining schedules, and Bucs are 90% chance to get in. Okay, but what does that mean? Like, who can they lose to? Can they lose? And like they got the Vikings, the Falcons twice, and the Lions. Now the Vikings are in it. Can they lose to the Vikings and still, get the 5th seed? Can they lose the Vikings and still stay in? If they lose the Vikings win out, do the Vikings knock them out because they're head to head? Like, plus the whole NFC West is going to make the playoff sides 49ers. I think so. Their schedule is so easy. They get to play the NFC East this year, and they got them all at the end of the year. They play each other in the NFC East, and that's it. So like they're all going to have plus 500 records going into the last 5 games for them. Everyone else has got 5 games. We got 4.
Right. Yeah, and I mean this was one of those, like when you said that, I was like, why would we talk about that? Because we've all been saying we're going to go to the playoffs. We're just going to go to the playoffs. And you're like, well, are we really?
Yeah.
Or do you
if we keep losing?
Like, yeah, I do. But okay, fine. I'll play along. And the more I've thought about it, and because I even texted you, I was like, hey, I'm not, I'm sort of out of pocket. So if you just want to go live and do it, I'll put up the audio feed later. And you didn't. And I'm kind of glad because the more I've thought about it over the last day or two, the more I've been like, okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I want to see where Ren goes with this.
This is the week to do it.
Yeah, you're right. And this is definitely the week to do it. So Ren, honestly, I'm just going to sort of step back a little bit and just let you take this. You've done all the research. You've got all the numbers. Right. I'll interject where I can, or, if you need a pitch.
I'm getting you involved. I would have I would have gone by myself.
Yeah.
But I really needed someone else, to bounce these off of. So I'll be making projections as far as what other teams are winning as it's scrolling down the bottom now. I have all the teams besides the Buccaneers, what their record is now, and what I have projected that their final season record would be. And it's not, I don't think it's anything outrageous, but it might be. So, I want to check that out. So
now, okay. I mean, to be fair, it's not all the teams. It's like 5 teams. but these would be like the teams that are legitimately in the playoff hunt right now.
These are the
wild card teams. I guess.
Yeah, I don't have the Saints, I don't have the Packers, I don't have anybody from the NFC East because no one cares about the NFC East. The Giants are winning the division at 4-7, and the the Washington football team's 4-7. The Eagles are 3-7-1, and the Cowboys are 3-8. Like they're all in it, but only one's getting in. Like we all know that.
None of them are vying for that wild card spot.
Right. Yeah. So the NFC West title's still sort of up for grabs. We got the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals all within a game of each other. 2 games from top to bottom. Seahawks 8-3, Rams 7-4, Cardinals 6-5. But all those people are in the playoffs. So in the hunt is the Vikings at 5-6, the Bears at 5-6, and then the 49ers at 5-6. And I looked at their schedule, and I'm just like, no. They got to play the Seahawks. They got to play the Bills, and they got to play, I think, the Cardinals. And then they got 2 games that you would think they're gimmies, but the 49ers only won 4 games. I'm sorry, that's not true. 5 games. So, they're not exactly gimmies. They're only one better than the Giants and the Washington football team. So I didn't put the 49ers in there. But, we have a game coming up next Sunday. Not this Sunday, next Sunday against the Vikings, who's in there. So I kind of want to look at, what's going on with the Vikings and the and the Bears. And is anybody going to catch us? Or are, just not the seeding set as far as the teams are in the playoffs now? Like, do the Vikings and the Bears really have a shot to come up and take one of these last playoff spots? Of course they do, because we could just lose every game, or the Cardinals could lose every game, the Rams could lose every game, and they win, 3 out of 2, or go 3-2, and they could squeeze in there. But we're going to start at the bottom. All right. I'm starting with the Bears. Here's the Bears. Remaining opponents are the Lions, the Texans, the Vikings, the Jags, and the Packers. The Bears right now are 5-6.
Right.
Okay. I have them going 3-2 with the Lions, Texans, Vikings, Jags, and Packers. Do you agree or disagree? Lions win.
Yeah.
Jags win. Packers loss.
Right. And then Vikings and Texans can split one way or the other. So 3-2. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Split 1 way or the other.
3, something like that. One way or the other.
Plus, what helps the Buccaneers is obviously the Vikings play the Bears. So whoever loses that game is probably out.
Right.
So we'll go to the Vikings. The Vikings right now are also 5-6. They play the Jags, win, us, loss, possible win. Bears, win or loss. Saints, loss. Lions, win. So I got them at 3-2 also. And that's with beating the Jags, the Bears, and the Lions.
Okay.
But we just thought that the Bears could beat the Vikings. They both can go 3-2 and end up. And here's the point: is the real point is that if they go 3-2, they end up 8-8. So the Vikings got the Jags, Bucs, Bears, Saints, and Lions. Now they're going to lose to the Saints. They're probably going to lose to us. They might lose to the Bears. They're probably going to beat the Lions and the Jags.
Right.
So even if they go 3-2, that's 8-8. You're out. Like the best they can go is 10-6, but they're going to go 9-7. They're both going to go 8-8.
I mean, like, to me, the Jags and Bears are going to be they're in the same boat, right? They're in the same team. Whether it's 3-2, 2 or 3 for either team, I could see it going one way. And probably that swing game is whoever wins the game between the two of them.
Right.
Right.
But if you look at it with the Vikings and the Lions, or excuse me, the Vikings and Bears, to realistically make the playoffs, they have to go 9-7. So they have to go 4-1.
Yeah. So effectively, what we're saying is out of the hunt, we're kind of just striking the Vikings and the Bears.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to go 4-1. The Vikings play the Jags and the Lions. Doable, but they got to, but they have to win 2 out of the 3 between us, the Bears, and the Saints. And then the Bears will give them the Lions, will give them the Jags. Then they have to win 2 out of 3 against the Packers, the Texans, and the Vikings.
Yeah.
And that's just to go 9-7.
Right.
Yeah, so we're getting them out.
Right.
So let's go to what we think.
And by the way, just for the record, for
Sure.
just to try to help the audio listening audience out there, the Vikings and the Bears are, and I'm looking at it right now, are currently the number 8 and number 9 quote unquote seed. They are on the bubble on the outside
in the hunt,
and effectively, you scratch those two teams out. What we're kind of saying here is the teams that are already listed as playoff teams for the NFC, it's going to stay these teams. It's just a matter of what the seeding is.
Probably yes. If we take out the Niners, who play the Bills,
Niners are at the 10 seed right now.
Yes, but they have the same record as the Vikings and the Bears, but they play the Bills and they play the Seahawks. Then they also have to play the Cardinals. They got the Washington football team and the Cowboys, who both will be playing for division title, and they only got 5 wins.
Yeah,
so like the 5-win team isn't going to rattle off. They're not going to go 4-1.
Right.
Again, especially when 2 of those games are against the Seahawks and the Bills. So the Niners are out. So really, like Brent just said, the top teams, which are
the teams that are there right now, it's the Saints, the Packers, the Seahawks, and the Giants, each winning their division, and then it's the Rams, it's us, and then it's the Cardinals.
Right.
This year for the 3, there's the 3 wild cards, the expanded playoffs this year, the 3 spots.
Right. So if we go with the theory that the Vikings and the Bears and the 49ers have to get really hot, and they got to beat teams that are also fighting for playoff spots, division leaders, teams in their division, they're going to have to go 4-1, just to go 9-7. And I don't think 9-7 is going to make it in the playoffs, because when you look at the NFC West, guess who they get to play the last part of the year?
All of the East.
All of the NFC East. But before we go there, let's sort of start what everyone's kind of waiting for is how can the Bucs get the 5th seed?
Okay. Which currently right now is occupied by the Rams.
Currently by the Rams. We're the 6th. Cardinals are the 7th. Now, why is the 5th seed so important?
5th seed's going to play the winner of the NFC East.
Yes. So
I mean, you should never take it. You should never take a game for granted. But look, if you're going to face somebody in the playoffs, the NFC East as a whole is very, very weak this year. You play that, you kind of mark that as a not an easy win, but it's still going to go in your column.
It will be the easiest win of all the playoffs game, sure. NFC and NFC.
Sure.
Like the winner of the NFC East might not have 7 wins.
Right. Which happened with the NFC South a bunch of years ago, if I remember.
Yeah, I think it was a 7-8-1 Panthers win.
Right. Didn't even have a winning record.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the playoff picture. So really, yeah, that's why it's important, right? So we can face that East team, and it's not a bye, but it's kind of
yeah. It's the easiest game in the playoffs.
Sure.
Okay, so how do we do that? First thing we have to do, the Bucs have to sweep. Right? We play the Vikings, the Falcons twice, and the Lions. Mm-hmm. Completely doable. What's your scariest game?
Like that's like the easiest way to do it?
No,
that's not the only way to do it. Or are you saying that's the only way to do it?
It is not the only way to do it. It is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. What's my scariest game out of all of those?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the Vikings game, but honestly, I would almost think it's the
away
one of the 2 Atlanta games.
The away Falcons game.
Yeah, whatever especially the second one. One of the 2 Atlanta games is what I would say is like I think the Bucs are going at least 3-1 in the next 4 weeks.
And you're picking them to lose to either the Vikings or the Falcons.
Not both. Not both. It could go either way. I could see it going either way with both of those games, but yeah, that's the way I'm picking it to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. But for the Bucs to get that 5th seed, they have to sweep, which is not out of the question. They're going to be favored in all those games.
Sure.
The game that scares me the most is the first Falcons game, which is the road game, because the Bucs don't historically play well in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. They did in the Georgia Dome, and they haven't so far in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, I guess we'll call it. So that's where, would be my scariest game. But to guarantee getting the fifth spot, the Bucs sweep, go 4-0. Not crazy. They're not having to play the Chiefs and the Saints and the Packers. And so
can I back up just 1 second?
Yeah.
Just for the record. Okay. If the Bucs sweep, that's going to send them off at 11-5.
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all the Saints have to do is to win 2. They go 11-5. They own the tiebreaker, so they win the division.
The division is out of reach.
Not mathematically, but effectively, and that's what I want to just say, because looking at the Saints' remaining schedule, they're playing the Eagles, they're playing the Vikings, they're playing the Panthers, and they're playing the Falcons. I would almost anticipate the Saints to go 4-1 in the last 5 weeks of the season.
At worst.
That's what I would anticipate, right?
Yeah.
But if they fall on their face and skid out, it's possible. It's not likely at all. But I basically just bring that up just to say what you said. The division is out of reach for the Buccaneers.
At this point, I'd rather be the 5th seed.
Rather than get
because if you go 11-5, you'll probably be behind the Seahawks and the Packers. So you'd be the 3rd seed. So you would play the 6th seed.
Right.
Which would be the Rams or the Cardinals.
Right.
So, yes. So this is, of course, like Brent said, agreeing theoretically that the Buccaneers lose the division. 11-5 and don't win the division. Now, this goes back to the NFC West because the biggest problem is the NFC West. And the biggest problem in there right now is the Rams. Because the Rams are 7-4 right now. And their opponents are the Cards twice, which is good for us. The Patriots probably win that game. The Jets, they win that game. The Seahawks probably lose that game. And the Cards, that's another 50-50. Mm-hmm. So going back... Oh, no, sorry. Where's it at? There you go. So the Rams have to lose to the Seahawks, which will give them 5 losses. Okay. And if they split with the Cards, which they basically have to lose 1 or 2 of the game to the Cardinals, and I'm saying that instead of saying, oh, you have to lose to the Jets or lose to the Pats. Okay. So the best way for the Buccaneers is the Seahawks beat the Rams, totally doable, and they have to split with the Cards. That'll give them 6 losses. We have 5. Okay. So we don't have to worry about the head-to-head.
Okay.
Okay. Then the last thing for us, now we have to look at the Cardinals. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the Cardinals are 6-5.
By the way, like, just for people out there trying to keep track, the Rams play the Cardinals this weekend while the Buccaneers are on a bye. If the Rams lose,
that gives them 5 losses.
That puts the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals all at 7-5.
Right.
Going into week 13.
Right. 7-5. And then the Rams have the Cardinals coming up again, last game of the season. Mm-hmm. And they have the Seahawks, I think, the week before.
Right.
Yeah. So the Rams' last 2 games are both division games. And they've already played the 49ers twice. Mm-hmm. So now we got to start thinking about the Cardinals, because the Cardinals are 6-5. Right. And if they go 11-5, they own the conference tiebreaker. They'll win it by 1.
Sure.
That's why they have to split with the Rams or lose another game. And up on the screen, the Cards' remaining games are the Rams. We'll say we win 1 to get the Rams where we need them to be. They beat the Giants, beat the Eagles. Are they going to beat the 49ers? Probably.
Maybe.
And if the 49ers win that game, that's really good for us.
Sure.
Because we just need the Cardinals to win one of the 2 Rams games, which are on the schedule, which are bookend. So you got to win against the Rams, a win against the Eagles, a win against the Giants. 49ers. If 49ers win, then we get the 5th seed. Okay?
Right.
Let's say they beat the Rams, beat the Giants, beat the Eagles, beat the 49ers, And the last week we're going in, we need the Rams to beat the Cardinals. Because if the Cardinals sweep the Rams and beat the Giants, beat the Eagles, beat the 49ers, which is all kind of doable, they'll go 11-5, and I'll give them one more conference win than us. But if they lose to any of these teams, it doesn't matter. That'll drop their conference win to the same one that we have, which would be 8. And we'll be tied for 8. And then that would move us to the common opponents, and we win the common opponents.
Okay.
So, terribly interesting.
I'm just trying to keep track of it. I'm here live, and I'm trying to keep track of all the ins and outs with.
All right. Okay. So we'll start from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
To get the 5th seeds, which we want, because we want to play the NFC East, right?
Right.
The Rams basically have to lose 2 games.
Okay.
Okay. Because the head-to-head with us, first we have to sweep.
Yeah.
We have to win out. The Rams have to lose 2 games. Here's the Rams schedule. Cards, Pats, Jets, Seahawks, Cards. Seahawks, we can put that down for 1. Okay?
Okay.
The next best option is for one of the 2 Cardinals games they play. Okay? So basically, the Rams have to lose 2 games. 1 to the Cardinals, 1 to the Seahawks. That takes care of the Rams. Then the next person up would be the Cardinals, who've got 1 win against the Rams, probably beat the Giants, probably beat the Eagles, probably beat the 49ers, but they have to lose that other game to the Rams. They have to beat the Rams once and then lose 1 of the other 4. But the best chance is the rematch against the Rams.
Sure.
Because if they don't, they will go 9-3 in the NFC, and we'll be 8-4.
Okay.
So, and again, and if they lose, 1 game, the remaining 5, the Cardinals, that'll push us in a tie in conference games, which will move to the next tiebreaker, which is the 3rd one, which is common opponents, which we win.
Fair enough.
So, again, Bucs have to win out. Rams lose to the Seahawks and split with the Cards.
All right. What if the Bucs don't win out?
It's very hard for them to get the 5th seed. The playoffs is still almost automatic.
Right.
Even if the Vikings beat the Buccaneers with their schedule coming up.
Yeah.
Which is on the screen now. So they beat the Jags, beat us, beat the Bears, lose the Saints, beat the Lions. They go 4-1, we'll say.
Right.
That puts them 9-7. And if that one loss of the 3-1 that we're talking about with the Buccaneers is to the Vikings, we're still a game up at 10-6. So the Vikings, and basically the Vikings and the Bears have to win out, and they play each other.
Right.
So one of them is going to lose a game. So even if we lose to the Vikings, I don't think they have enough to get to 10 wins. Because they have to win all 5 games.
Sure.
So really, realistically, the Vikings and Bears are out.
Right.
So if they're out, then again, we go back to the 7 teams that are up there are the 7 teams that are in. And all we really want is the 5th place, right?
And the only way, well, it's not the only way, but the most realistic way to do that is it requires the Bucs to sweep. Because if they don't,
that's
the
where
Bucs got to win out, right? So the Bucs are in charge.
Not necessarily, but then if the Bucs don't win out, then we need the Rams. Then we need the Cardinals to sweep the Rams, and then have the Rams lose to the Seahawks, and then we have to have the Cardinals lose 2 of 3 to the Giants, Eagles, and 49ers, which is they're 6-5. Right. They lost to the Lions already this year. It was early though. But the easiest and the best way to the playoffs. So, what you're cheering for, Buccaneers fans, is for the Bills to beat the 49ers this weekend. That takes the 49ers out. And you want the Cards over the Rams to get that 1 win. So if the Cardinals beat the Rams this weekend, all you really got to hope for is for Seattle to beat the Rams in a couple of weeks and for the Cards to lose one of its next remaining 4 games. And we get the 5th seed if we win out.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
Super duper. Any questions? How's the comments?
Here's the thing, though. Do you really expect the Bucs to sweep, though? Like that's a big if.
I do.
If the Bucs sweep, you expect them to go 4-0 in the last part of the season here?
I do. I really do.
Okay.
And if they don't deserve to make the playoffs. They still will.
They will, right?
But I would have no because it's really on the table for them. Like the Rams are up and down, we're up and down, the Cardinals are up and down, the Seahawks, they're 8-3, but some of their, if Russell Wilson doesn't throw picks, which normally he doesn't, then they win. That's kind of what they do. It doesn't matter how bad the offensive line is. It doesn't really matter who's at running back. Russell Wilson throws to DK Metcalf, and if you double DK Metcalf, he throws it to, who's the other guy? Anyway, he throws to the other guy. Then he'll dump it off to Greg Olsen every once in a while, and Greg Olsen's done. Then doop, down the field they go, and at the end of the game, it's close, and Russell, and one team has the ball to win the game, and it's 24-21, Seahawks win. That's just what they do. An 8-3 right now, and they got the Giants and the Jets and the Washington football team. Okay, so that puts them 9, 10, 11. Now they're already at 11-3 going against the Rams and the 49ers. We're not going to beat the 49ers. Now we're at 12-3. They lose the Rams, make it 12-4. We need them to beat the Rams. Seahawks are in. Seahawks are division winners, in my opinion.
Right.
The Rams are too up and down to get hot to be able to beat the Cards twice and the Seahawks. And I don't think the Cardinals' defense is good and their offensive line is good enough to be able to win 5 in a row.
Uh-huh.
So we need the Cardinals to lose 1 game or more, but they have to win 1 game against the Rams. We need the Rams to lose 2 games. One has to be to the Seahawks. Well, it doesn't, but most likely. And they have to lose one of the 2 head-to-head with the Cardinals, which is totally doable. And then we just have to beat the Vikings, the Falcons twice, and who we got? The Lions.
Mm-hmm.
We get the 5th seed. We play hopefully not the Giants. I'd rather play the Eagles or the Washington football team, either one. Or Dallas. I really don't want to play the Giants again. Giants game scared me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would it scare you again?
No, yes, it would, but I would rather play. I'd rather end up playing the Giants than having to play the Packers or the Seahawks on the road. I'd rather play the Giants on the road or Washington on the road.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Bucs sweep, all of this happens. Bucs get the 5th seed.
Mm-hmm.
How? Give me a percentage point. How much do you think that's actually going to happen?
For the Bucs hitting the 5th seed?
Yeah.
I
greater than 50%, you think?
Oh yeah.
75?
I don't know what the statistics are. That's
Sure.
what I'm trying. I know there's a way to do the math, and statistically they have this. 22.5%.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
Okay. All right. So
I really think
you're bullish on it.
I'm bullish on it. I'm 80%.
Okay. So because now I want to do this. Now I want to play this out the rest of the way.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the playoff schedule as it is right now. But I'm gonna flip the Bucs and the Rams. Bucs are gonna get that 5th seed, and the Rams are gonna get the 6th seed. Okay.
Hang on.
All right. To play it out, and I think I've got this right. The Saints are gonna get a bye.
Wait.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The Saints are gonna lose the Chiefs. Okay. So the Saints are gonna lose the Chiefs. So the Saints are gonna be 13-3.
Uh-huh.
The Seahawks are going to be 13-3, so you'd have to see. And I think the Packers are going to be 13-3. Packers got the Eagles, the Lions, the Panthers, the Texans, and the Bears. or the Titans and the Bears. So the Titans is going to be the biggest game. So we'll say, yeah, I mean, they all could be 13-3. So I know where you're going with this, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm kind of ruining it, but I know I'd like to take it to the next step too and be like, okay, so the Bucs
So let's
beat
play out
whoever.
the bracket, right, and see what it looks like. Because we'd slot the Bucs in as winning that first round against the Giants, as it stands right now. And
I like the way it stands right now, actually.
And if you look at it like that, because you're right, they're going to be so close. Like one falls this way, one falls that way, and it's going to change the whole thing. So, but the way it is right now, the Packers are going to play the Cards, the Seahawks are going to play the Rams, and we're going to play the Giants if we get that 5th seed, as you predict that we will. If you had to pick between Seahawks and the Rams in the playoffs first round, who do you think?
Seahawks.
Is that Seahawks? Okay. So that puts us against the Seahawks in round 2 of the playoffs. Okay. Are the Buccaneers going to beat the Seahawks? Are the Buccaneers good enough to beat the Seahawks?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
And let me ask you this, because here's are the Buccaneers going to be clicking enough?
There's the question.
Yeah, because now we're 6 weeks out from right now, which is still a long time, especially in NFL terms. Like I know we're week 12 now, but that's still 6 weeks out. That's still a long time for this team to get used to each other and to really begin firing on all cylinders. Because what we know about this team right now is they are not firing on all cylinders.
No.
And they are still 7-5.
No.
And they're still gonna be in the playoffs. And they're still probably gonna end at least 10-6, if not 11-5. They can't do better than that, right? So
they can make it at 9-7 as long as they don't lose the Vikings. They can beat the Vikings, and go 1-2 in the next 3 games, but they'll have the head-to-head with the Vikings,
right? And that would drop us down to probably the 7th.
Oh, it would definitely be the 7th. If we lose one game, we will probably be the 7th seed.
Okay,
because the head-to-head with the Rams,
right?
Even if they finish, because they got to lose 2, and they got 2 gimmies, which is the Pats. Well, not gimmies, but the Jets for sure, and the Pats. They're, and we got them losing to the Seahawks and splitting with the Cards, so that puts them at 10-6. That puts us at 10-6. They beat us head-to-head, and then we have the Cards. If they lose one game, the next 5, they're 10-6. But if they do that, they have a better conference record than we do, so they get the tiebreaker.
So,
So the Bucs can go 2-2 and make the playoffs as long as they don't lose to the Vikings.
Right.
They could go 2-2 and make the playoffs and lose to the Vikings as long as the Vikings. Let me look back at their schedule here.
There's so many moving parts to this.
Right? So the Vikings are 5-6.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not gonna go on a 5-game win streak. They're not going 10-6. They're gonna go 9-7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to win 4 out of these 5. Let's say they're losing to the Saints. They beat the Jags. They beat us. They beat the Bears. They beat the Lions. Okay. Sorry. They would have to lose to either the Jags, Bears, or Lions. If we lose the Vikings and go 2-2, then the Vikings, besides losing to the Saints, would also have to lose one of the other 3 remaining games, which is Jags, Bears, Lions.
Wow.
Which is doable. I mean, they just lost to Dallas.
Sure.
But since we lost to them head-to-head, if we put it this way, if we beat the Vikings, we're in. We win next week, we're in. No matter one way or the other. We can beat the Vikings and go 1-2. If we beat the Vikings and beat Detroit, we're in.
There you go.
That's it. We're in.
So playing it out, the Bucs would face the Seahawks, get up there. I mean, at some point, the Bucs are gonna have to face the Seahawks, the Packers, and or the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
right? At some point, it's going to be those 3 teams the Bucs are going to have to get through. We've already put a hurting on the Packers. They're searching for some revenge against the Saints. And you just told me the Seahawks are beatable by this Buccaneers team.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily because, if the way it sits, Saints get the bye, right?
Yep.
And we play the NFC East team and we win. But you're saying that the Seahawks are going to beat the Rams and or Cardinals. And that's a division game. That can go any way. Now, do I think the Seahawks will win it? Yeah. But I can't also say the Packers are going to beat the Rams and or Cardinals too.
It's true. Well, right.
I
mean, yeah, this at this point is just playing favorites on the
going chalk.
Board. Yeah. It's just doing that, which honestly, once you get to the playoffs, you really can't do that. But at some point, the Buccaneers are going to be the one that's not the chalk team, right?
And another good thing, if we get the 5th seed and we beat whoever the NFC East team is, we will not. Well, maybe we would. We would have to play the Saints the next week. Wouldn't we play the Saints if the Seahawks and Packers both won? Because we'd be the lowest seed. Yeah, we'd be the lowest seed. Because the Saints get a bye, right?
Yeah.
So we play the Giants as it stands now. We'll say NFC East. And then, so we'll be in the 5th spot. So below us is the Rams and the Cardinals. They both play the Seahawks and the Packers. Seahawks, Packers both win. That leaves us 4 standing. Here come the Saints. We're in the 4th spot.
So we would not. So, okay. I kind of don't like this because the poetry of how this works out to me as a Buccaneers fan is the Buccaneers lost to the Saints, got swept by the Saints during the regular season.
Right.
Buccaneers face the Saints a 3rd time in the playoffs, but it's for the NFC Championship. Since they can't do it for the Super Bowl, it's got to be for the NFC Championship. But that's not going to happen.
Because it could if the Rams or the Cardinals beat either the Seahawks or the Packers. If we're the 5th seed and we win our NFC game. Which could very well happen because the Seahawks will be playing a 3rd division game against somebody.
Right.
And then if they do that, then we would jump up to the 3rd spot and we would play whoever. We would jump to the 3rd spot and we would play whoever's standing between the Seahawks and Packers. Or we'd be the 2nd spot and it'd be the Saints, us, and we would play either the Cardinals or Rams. So for your dream to come true, here you go. Listen to this.
Yeah.
For your dream to come true, we got to get the 5th spot, okay?
By the way, that dream also includes the Buccaneers smashing the Saints and moving on to the Super Bowl.
So we get the 5th spot, which we know is, I'll put that back up real quick. To get the 5th spot, the Rams got to lose Seattle and split with the Cards. We win out. We're in the 5th spot. Okay. Now we will end up playing. We'll just say we'll end up playing the NFC East. Okay. So that means the Seahawks will play we'll say Seahawks play the Rams and the Cardinals play the Packers. We win. Seahawks lose. Packers win. Okay. That would put us in the 3rd spot. And even if the Seahawks win and Packers lose, we get in the 3rd spot. As long as one of those wild card teams wins besides us, we won't have to play the Saints in the 2nd round. So we'll either be in the 2nd spot or the 3rd spot.
Gotcha.
So we'll either be playing Seattle or Green Bay. Saints take care of who's left. Then we play the Saints in the NFC Championship and smash them.
I like it. I like it. Let me ask you this, Ren. Would you rather play the Saints in the 2nd round and have to go on and face the
I don't want to play the Saints at all.
You just hope they get. So you'd rather push that out as far as you can and let somebody else take out the Saints.
Yeah.
And because
if I'm picking what I would want to happen, get the 5th seed, beat up on the NFC East team or win. I don't care. By the time it's just like advance, and then have Seattle or Green Bay lose. So we get to play either the Rams or the Cardinals. and then the Saints lose to either the Rams or the Cardinals, and then we either play for the NFC Championship will be us versus the Rams or the Cardinals.
Right.
That's how I would want it to go. I don't want to play the Saints. I mean, because that's the easy. It's the easiest path. Now, also,
I like the poetry of coming back and winning and beating them in the NFC.
Oh, I'm with you. I'd love to go there and smash them.
The reality of it, like, no, it scares the ever-living bejesus out of me, honestly.
They outcoach us.
Every time.
They make us look stupid.
Every time.
Offensive and defensive game plans are better than ours. They know how to attack us. Our offensive line can't block them for pass protection.
Yeah.
If we get down by 10 points, we'll quit running the ball, even if the game's only 4 minutes old.
Yeah.
So, but here you talked a little bit about how the Buccaneers, I think the Bucs will be rolling by the playoffs. And it's not so much of the Vikings, offense or the Atlanta's offense or Detroit's offense, is they're all really bad defensively. That's why they're losing.
All right.
They've got, they all have talent on offense. Well, now, the Lions are in a complete tailspin. They just got shut out by the Panthers, I think. Like, that's like cuckoo.
Yeah, Lions just jettisoned their coach and their GM. Like, that whole team is just...
it's cuckoo. Plus, Stafford
right now.
Stafford has a bum thumb. Kenny Galladay, their best receiver, I think, has played like 2 games.
Right.
I got Stafford on my fantasy team. He is not throwing for a lot of yards or a lot of TDs. Big trust. But their defense is terrible. Right. And Atlanta's defense is terrible. And, Atlanta just went into New Orleans and let Taysom Hill throw up fly balls over their heads. Like, not even over, like, all 3 people were standing there waiting for it to come down. It was like a punt on multiple occasions. And they ran. Now, it's kind of hard for us to say, oh, they ran Paro ISO right off the tackle. They did it to us, yeah, but he wasn't in every time. Like, if Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback, Todd Bowles will, I guarantee you, he will find a way to stop Taysom Hill running the ball. Period, end of story. And just take our chances. Like, what we did against the Chiefs is what is a perfect game plan for the Saints with Taysom Hill as quarterback. But again, we'll be riding high because all these defenses are terrible. And their offenses aren't that good. And Dalvin Cook may or may not be out. He's out right now for the Vikings, but they have a whole week to get him better.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Now it's just a matter of actually going out there and doing it. I mean, look, end of the day, the Buccaneers are mostly in control of their destiny.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, they really are. They have I always hesitate to say they have an easy schedule and especially when you look, Brian over in the chat room points out the Raiders just demolished the Falcons just demolished the Raiders 43-3.
Right.
I think it would be unwise to simply overlook the Falcons.
I'm not overlooking I think it's going to be the hardest game.
Right.
The first, which is in like 3 weeks, which would be the second game because it's on the road against the Falcons. But like, they can't stop anybody. And I really think against and plus, here's the thing. They don't have the coaches to outcoach us.
Right.
Like, we're all equally bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is the thing where you just...
I hate it, but I do. I know.
This is where we're just going to out-athlete everybody. Mike, no, I should take back the Vike. I like Mike Zimmer a lot. I really do. He's like, when I was always a sort of a stumper for Marty Schottenheimer, then he retired. Then I was a stumper for Andy Reid, and he won a Super Bowl finally. So now my guy's Mike Zimmer. I think he's the best coach no one talks about. I really do. I think he's excellent. But his defense is just so young, and they lost so many free agents, and they had a couple people opt out, like big defensive. It would have been like JPP and Vita Vea opting out, not play the season. What happened to Minnesota? And so they just, they're just still learning the system and all that kind of stuff. But they don't, but none of these teams have the corners to even come close to be able to try to hang with almost anybody on our roster. And if you just don't get cute, and this is what's good about it, is like you can just run BA's non-motion, 4 wide, 2 tight end, whatever you want to do against these guys, because Minnesota don't have the pass rush because they're all young or opted out. Detroit doesn't have a pass rush. They're terrible at it. And Atlanta, we always kind of handle them pretty well up front. Atlanta's got a lot of names, but they just can't put everything together. And the Saints I think the Saints have sacked them 15 times the past 2 times they played them. They're having troubles. And I didn't see the Raiders game at all. So, and Matt Ryan can throw for a lot of yards, throw for a lot of touchdowns, but the Falcons are kind of like in the spot the Saints were when the Saints went 7-9 3 years in a row. They were losing games 38-42, 46-41. Like they just can't stop anybody.
Right.
And I think our defense is good enough to be able to stop these teams. If they punt 4 times, game's over. So I think Bucs fans will really be riding high because they're not going to really think about the defenses they're playing. They're just going to see all these points that are going to be scored. And the running game is going to start clicking. And the defense is going to start showing up again and getting 3 and outs. And there's going to be turnovers. And so...
Let me ask you this. Does this surprise you? I've seen this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, multiple times I've seen this come up this past week. This is the highest scoring Buccaneers offense in the history of Buccaneers offenses.
No.
That's what I've seen this whole week.
No, it's not surprising. We put up 40 a bunch of times.
It's not surprising. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying no, it's not. I was like, no, that seems very surprising because the last bunch of years with, under Jameis and particularly under Dirk, like those have been, and Todd Monken, my God, when he was calling plays, like those have been some incredibly high scoring offenses. And we have touted those.
But they weren't.
Do what?
They weren't. I mean, they were, but they weren't. I mean, they were just, like 29, 30, something like that.
But they have been top offenses in the league consistently every year.
Yeah, and I think the only game that we haven't scored was the Niners game, or Saints game.
That second Saints game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we scored over 40 like 3 times. We never score over 40.
Yeah, I guess. It just it just seems weird to me that this particular season, given all the troubles that the Buccaneers have been having, I'm not saying that I don't believe it. I'm just saying it makes you sit back and go, really?
Yeah.
Like, really? This year?
Yeah, because it seems like every week you're pulling your hair out over the offense. Yeah. With all the 3 and outs back to back to back.
Right.
But then at the end of the
struggles and stuff, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the game they put up 24 points, or or they get down 10-0 to the Raiders, and the end of the game it's 48-10. Right. Or they same thing with the Packers, or even the Panthers the second game. Well, we were down 10-0. And then we scored 7 times in a row.
Yeah.
So
because all the criticism of this team is on the offense. It's not on like the
which it shouldn't be, because the defense is not good right now.
The most noise making criticism of this team is usually on the offense.
Yeah.
It's not the defense. But to sit back and go, but this is the highest scoring offense we've ever had, and it's really high. It's like you remember when we like Mike Evans, like we would look up like roundabout game 10, 11 and go, holy shit, how did he get 1,000 yards already?
Yeah, right.
Like it's kind of that feeling to me. Like I don't disbelieve it. It just
because he would get a lot of. He would have the games where he'd go for like 127 and 2 touchdowns, right? But it'd be like 2 of them. But the rest of the time he'd go for like 80, 83, 89. 69. Yeah. And so like the 80s, like those add up, man.
Right.
So yeah, and you look up, like you said, like game 12, and it's like Mike Evans has 1,100 yards, and it's like, what?
Really? Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? Well, we threw to him 30 times a game. Oh, good point.
And he only got 13 of them. But God, if you just got some yak, that'd be amazing. All right, Ren. Well, that's the playoff picture.
That's the playoff picture.
Sum it all up. The Bucs need to sweep. That's where we need to go right now.
Yeah.
And everything else cards kind of fall
Just
where
for
they
the
fall.
5th seed. Just for the 5th seed.
Just for the 5th seed.
The Bucs are making the playoffs.
Okay.
Period.
There you go. I like it.
Okay.
I like
now
it.
for the 5th seed, let's see if you can wrap it up.
The Bucs need to sweep. Some other stuff needs to happen. Mostly, what is it? The Rams and the Cards need to split. It sounds like, right?
Let me put it back up.
Yeah. Rams lose to Seattle and split with the Cards. There you go.
There you go. That's it.
So
because splitting with the Cards will give the Cards the one loss that if they end up with the same record as us, we will win in the third tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So we need the Cards to lose a game, preferably to the Rams.
Yeah.
And we need the Cards to beat the Rams in one of their 2 games and lose to Seattle. Like that's if you need the Cardinals to beat the Rams once in 2 games and the Rams and Seattle beat the Rams, like, and just take care of business, that's not like, we're not asking for the Giants to beat the Saints, man, right. Or I need the Chiefs to lose to somebody, no matter who they play. Like, I'm not taking that bet.
Yeah. Let me point this out too. If the Bucs do sweep the next few games, the Bucs are going to go into these playoffs on a 4-game win streak.
Yeah.
That'll be hot. And you say what you want about the teams that they're playing. It doesn't matter. You're going to play the teams in front of you, right?
Yep.
The Bucs walk into the playoffs on a 4-game win streak. When you talk about clicking and you talk about their confidence and you talk about all of those things, that's a good time to have a 4-game win streak. I mean, anytime's a good time to have a 4-game win streak, but that's, it's set up to be a very interesting 4th quarter of the season. For sure.
Yeah, this is it. We said that the most important 4 games were the last 4 games. And it was true as far as like locking up the 5th seed. To me, I thought as soon as we lost the second game to the Saints, I'm like, there's no way. Like, I look at the Saints schedule, I'm like, we can't. So the Saints have to lose 3 games basically because we got to get like a full game ahead of them. So then I'm like, okay, we're looking at the 5th seed. Okay, so we got we got the Saints and we got the Panthers and we got the Chiefs and we got the Rams. And it's like, okay, if we go 2-2, we got a great shot at it. Probably got it. But we didn't. We went 1-3. So this is where we are now. Got to win 3 very winnable games. Need the Cardinals to beat the Rams 1 time in their next 2. And we need the Seahawks to beat the Rams. And we're in. And then we beat whoever's in the NFC East. And then we'll play the Rams. Then we'll play the Cardinals. And then we'll play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
All right. You got anything else for us?
Steelers are a fraud.
Steelers are a fraud.
Complete fraud. Look up who they've played.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, my God, yeah. Guess who they played? The NFC East.
Probably the AFC, whatever the division the Jags are. Is that
Central?
Right. Not Central. Yeah, they don't have a Central anymore.
They're the South, AFC South, aren't they? Yeah, the South.
Something. Yeah.
No, they're the AFC East.
I can't remember.
No. Really, the Jags are the South. Yeah.
I live in this damn town and I don't know.
It's like I always forget that one too. It's a weird one.
It's the Colts. I know they're in the same division as the Colts.
That's the only one I know too.
Weird. Like they're in the middle of the freaking states. Why would they be in the South? But they are.
All right. So it's the Jags, the Colts. Oh God, I always forget this one.
Is it the Texans? Yeah, I think they're in with the Texans.
The Texans. And
yeah, I don't care.
Come on, Chad.
Yeah, I don't care.
I just want to quit. Titans. Thank you, John. Winner from Twitter, even a Twitter. Somebody on Twitter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't get the Periscope ones that often.
No, we don't.
All right, Red. Well, if anyone would like to contact you and say, okay, sort it out for me all over again,
go back and listen to the pod.
Here's why you're wrong, or
sure,
here's why you're right. How can they get in touch with you?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And the show is at the Pewtercast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Please keep in mind anything you say we could use on a future episode of the Pewtercast. Guys, that's going to do it for us for this week, this bye-week edition of the Pewtercast. We'll be back at you sometime soon. I'm not exactly sure when, but we'll be back at you. It's the bye week. We're going to enjoy it. You guys enjoy it too. And until next time, guys, go Bucs.